RX Television on RxMuscle.com. This is Ask Dave, brought to you by Species Nutrition and Liquid Sunrays. Your 30-minute question and answer show with Dave Palumbo. All your questions on diet, training, supplementation, IFBB pros, competitions, of course, the crown jewel of the IFBB calendar just next weekend, as we are just days away from embarking to Las Vegas for the 2018 Mr. Olympia weekend, and that's where we're going to start off as we now bring in Dave Palumbo from our Cape Coral studios. Dave, in a matter of about a week, I'm flying out in a week. You're going to be flying out the next day, Thursday. We're going to touch down in Vegas and start our coverage of the 2018 Olympia.
Yeah, it's exciting. Like I said, I haven't really gone to a show at all this year. I missed the Arnold this year because of the birth of my daughter, and it's been really busy over here. And so my wife was nice enough to, say, Dave, go to the Olympia. It's important. And so we're going to have obviously Redcon 1 stepped up to the plate, sponsored our coverage. And we're going to try to give you guys the best coverage as we do every year, analysis, wrap-ups, interviews, expo stuff, fun stuff, and that's what we do best, So I'm looking forward to seeing you out there, Sid. Obviously, now that you don't live, I don't live in New York anymore. We don't see each other on a daily basis, So it'll be great to spend some time with you and see Chris Aceto and Ralph, our photographer, and all the other, cronies that we run into there and that we argue with and we don't argue with. You know how it is. It's like going to the Academy Awards. Everyone pretends they're all friends, and whether we like each other or not, it doesn't matter. We all have something in common, which is the Super Bowl of bodybuilding, and that's what we're going to see.
So again, the best thing to do to get the best coverage, follow RxMuscle.com, obviously. Our YouTube channel, that's where the videos are going to go up. Our Instagram, official_RxMuscle, that's where we're going to have all the pictures throughout the weekend. And of course, the most extensive IG story of anyone at the Olympia. And of course, our Twitter, RxMuscle.com, all one word. We're going to be live tweeting the Olympia press conference and everything happened during the shows, including Dave Palumbo's play-by-play, which is also going to be on the RX Muscle Forum. Let's go to the question. The first questions are from the Dave Palumbo Experience app. The first question, Dave, how does having smaller or larger meals affect metabolism? Will smaller meals speed up the metabolism? And if so, what's the sweet spot to get the highest metabolic rate? Also, any other suggestions on what you can do to increase your metabolism naturally?
Well, eating stimulates your metabolism, putting food into your body. If any of you have ever starved or not eaten all day or done like a two meal a day diet, you know what happens? You freeze in cold because your body's metabolism shuts down. So whether you eat small meals throughout the day or you eat large meals throughout the day, you will increase your metabolism. When I was trying to put on weight and I was at my biggest in my 300-pound range, and I was eating 12 times a day, I was eating 12 big meals a day. And all I did was sweat. Any of you guys out there who could relate to this, who are way over 250 pounds and eat a lot of food on a daily basis, you'd never stop sweating. It's like you can never cool down. I can never have the air conditioning on low enough in my house. At night, especially, I had to sleep with a fan blowing on me. When I would get on an airplane, I had my little battery-operated fan on me because it would be I would always so hot, And I forget that almost. I have to remind myself because nowadays I don't overeat. I'm not, I'm much lighter in weight, so I don't feel warm all the time. Matter of fact, when I get on an airplane, I'm freezing. I got to wear a sweatshirt, which is a complete. Although I think the AC units on the airplanes nowadays are better than they were 20 years ago, but still, you're always hot. So whether you eat, small meals throughout the day frequently, or if you eat large meals throughout the day frequently, you're going to be just as hot. Now, obviously, if you're overeating food, okay, you might not be stimulating your metabolism enough to burn what you're eating, so you might get fat from it. So you have to figure out what the sweet spot is for your metabolism.
Second question, again from the Dave Palumbo Experience app. Dave, amazing app. Looking forward to the release of the new one. I train in the morning. If I don't want to do a plain shake with liquid carbs, what whole foods or combo of whey isolate and whole food carb would you suggest?
Yeah, just for people who don't know, the Dave Palumbo Experience app is a place where you can download an app. And you can basically have access to all my videos and writings that I've done over the years. We constantly put new content up on there almost every day. I do an exclusive Q&A video for the app members also when I answer all app members' questions right on the app, so everyone has access to those Q&As on a daily basis. It's been, and we're launching a new version of the app as well. in the coming months. Or actually, maybe we're probably about a month away from doing that. So this question comes from the app, one of the app members, and the question was, Sid, one more time?
Yeah, so he wants to know a combination of
the shake.
Plain shake with liquid carbs with whole foods, or combo of whey isolate and a whole food carb. Would you suggest?
I've done different variations. I've done whey isolate with like Carbolyze, which is my high molecular weight carbohydrate, product, mixed with macadamia nut oil. That's probably the easiest thing you can do, all from containers. Then you can do whole food mixes. You can do whey isolate with like a banana with, like all natural peanut butter. That's another great shake that I used to do on a regular basis. I would change it up. Sometimes I would do other fruit. If I was doing a fruity flavor, sometimes I would do if I was doing like a cherry or if I used a vanilla, isolate, I would mix maybe pineapple in there. Sometimes, because you can blend up any kind of fruit in a blender, no problem. Just to add some kind of carbohydrate source to it, because maybe I didn't feel like eating a carb powder at the time or something like that. For a fatty acid source, you can go from peanut butter to almond butter. You can do, like I said, oils like mac nut oil in there. Works really well. The great thing about shakes is they're cold, so you don't have to worry about heating anything. It doesn't ruin the oils at all. You can use walnut oils and avocado oils, depending on what you like. I personally think mac oil tastes the best of them all, and that's why I make macadamia nut oil from Species Nutrition. But once again, you can be creative with these shake meals. I'm a creature of habit. Usually I just throw the stuff in. I do isolize, Carbolyze, mac oil, blend, drink, or not even blend. I just spoon it in a drink and I gulp it down. That's easy. But like I said, if you want something with a little substance, and you're in the off season, you want to do almond butter, whey protein isolate, like an isolize, combined with like a banana or something like that, is delicious. It's really good, and it works good for the chocolate flavors too, and then I have, of course, the peanut butter flavors. So you can be creative. Once again, most people are in a rush when they do a shake, so they don't want to be creative, but you can be creative.
Let's go to the Instagram questions. Again, our handle is official_RX Muscle. Let's go to Red Grizzly. I hate the show as much as I hate summer. Would love your thoughts on body fat while bulking. Planning to start my bulk at 10%. How much should I allow it to increase before I need to shred back down?
I'm not a big believer in measuring body fat because it's so inaccurate. Go by the mirror. Go by your hand. Grab your freaking stomach. If you got a roll of fat on it, that's thick. Remember, it's the thickness of it. Everyone has skin here, but how thick is that skin layer? If it's like this, that's a lot of fat. If it's like this, then that's low. If you look fat, if you're out of shape, then cut back your carbohydrate intake. If you're not, then keep shoveling the food in. Increase it. That's the best measure. When people send me, I have clients, they send me these analysis from these computer scans that they get done on a daily basis, and some of them get dunked in hydrostatic, tanks. They tell me their body. I don't care. All I want to do is see the pictures. The pictures tell me everything. I know if they're overweight by looking at the pictures. So you can use all the sophisticated methods of analyzing how much body fat and how much lean mass you have, how much water you're holding. Who knows if it's accurate or not, but the mirror don't lie, and that's what I always say.
Let's go to Barbarian B23. Whenever I'm in my growing phase off season, I get terrible lower back pumps and pain when I hit 250 pounds. Do you have any idea why this is and how to help with this issue? It even affects my walking.
Yeah, well, strap a 45-pound plate around your back and walk around with it and see how your lower back feels. You're carrying around extra weight. It's tiring. You'll probably notice as you start growing in the off season that you're tired all the time. You want to take naps. You want to sleep at night more because you're carrying around extra weight. That's a burden on your body. It tires it out. When you're lighter and you're dieting, you have more energy and you move around more easily. That's just the nature of the beast. Since I've dropped under 200 pounds, which took me a long time to get under it because I had a lot of lean muscle on my body, I feel great. I'm never tired. I can move around all day long. If I didn't have a screwed up quad from that stupid quad tear that I had, I would be in the best shape. I would be moving around better than any time in my life because I was so heavy for so long, from probably the years 1992 to, probably up till 2010, I was carrying a lot of weight, but at least 2004 when I stopped competing, I had a lot of weight on my body. That was a burden, and I never felt light on my feet. Now I feel very light on my feet, thank God, because and that's probably why my blood pressure is normal now too. So there's always positives and negatives. Yeah, it's great to have a lot of muscle and it's functional and you're strong, and when you're younger it's good. But as you get older, that's a strain on your body, and you don't want that strain on your body as you get a little older, because sometimes it puts a burden on your body, and it can cause damage, and you just don't feel good. So you have to go by how you feel. Everyone's different too, Everyone's body responds differently. As I gotten older, I've gotten a little creakier, and I don't know if I have my dad's arthritis, in gene inheritance going on. So I want to really keep my body as healthy as possible and keep heavy weight off my body, because there's no reason for it at this point.
Rarely on the show do I ever answer a question, but I will in this case. Bobby Guidotti, would you happen to know where on the internet or broadcasting station might we be able to watch the Olympia this year? It's going to be on iherb.com/Olympia. That's iherb.com/Olympia. Let's go to the Atomic Beast. What is the max amount of reps per set you would do on deadlifts or rack pulls? So I don't know if that's you personally or what you would suggest if you want to go both ways.
Back in the day, I used to do 6 45-pound plates on each side, and I would rack pull them. I'd usually set the rack at the lowest rung. I think guys do rack pulls too high. So you still want to get a little bit of pull. You just don't want to you don't want to pull it off the floor, because that's a lot of glute, and leg. So if you can get it up about this high off the floor, the rest of it is a lot of upper body, pull. And that's why we do rack pulls. It's to kind of isolate the back and traps and all that stuff, take the legs a little bit out of the movement, although you're still using your legs. There's no way around it. The legs are the most powerful muscles in your body. They'll do anything in terms of like a free weight compound movement like that. They're definitely going to work, but it'll work a little less. And I would go up to, like I said, 6 plates, and I would pull those. Look, I was strong, but I wasn't Akeem Williams strong. And so I knew what my limit was. And once again, if you don't really feel the muscles working and you're kind of using a lot of momentum and stuff like that, then you're really not getting any benefit out of it. So you have to figure out what works for you. You might get it, you might go out there and do 3 plates on each side, 315, and get a great workout. And that might be enough to challenge your body. So work your way up, do what's comfortable for you. You don't want to hurt yourself, obviously, but you do want to challenge yourself.
We get questions about your baby making protocol, and in particular about improving sperm motility. And Frog Thumbs wants to know about Proviron. Does Proviron have any proven effects on improving sperm motility and morphology?
No. If anything, Proviron is an anabolic steroid, which is really not. It's more of an androgenic steroid. It doesn't really have much anabolic properties to it. But I wouldn't take Proviron at all, because it could suppress your body's ability to produce testosterone and sperm. So I would take no anabolic steroids when you do the baby making protocol. That doesn't mean that some people haven't used some and gotten results, but most don't. Once again, don't go with the genetically freaky people who can get people pregnant on a cycle, because they're out there. Most people don't. So I always say play the scientific odds. Don't play the lottery odds. The lottery odds are like, oh, I'm going to hit a $100 million jackpot. Most of you guys are not going to. So go with the science. The science says go off all the drugs. Take your HCG, take your HMG, the Clomid, like I prescribe in the protocol, and stay on it until you get the person pregnant. If you guys don't have the protocol and you want it, you can email me at huge285@AOL.com. I'd be more than happy to send it to you.
You're watching Ask Dave on RxMuscle.com, brought to you by Species Nutrition and Liquid Sunrays. Reminder right now at RxMuscle.com and the RX Muscle YouTube channel, our Iron Road to the Olympia, brought to you by Redcon One. All of our interviews with the top Olympians, our preview segments, analysis segments on the YouTube channel, and of course at RxMuscle.com. Follow that, our Instagram page, official_RxMuscle, for live coverage of everything we're going to be doing around town on Olympia weekend, and of course on Twitter for the live play-by-play. Let's go to Jordan Prosubs. Protein helps with muscle growth, but we all know that more muscle doesn't always mean more strength. What are some key supplements, minerals, or foods that you think are the best for overall strength increase?
I don't know. To me, strength is a result of building more muscle in your body. I was never very strong when I first started. I mean, I was strong, but I wasn't like, you see these guys in the gym, they can bench 405 and they weigh like $180. I was never strong like that. I didn't have a strong bench. My legs were fairly strong, but I noticed that I got stronger the bigger I got. So as I added muscle, my strength proportionally went up. So by the time I was at my biggest, I was actually probably one of the strongest guys in the gym. but I also weighed 315 pounds. So my muscle was proportionate to my strength. When my muscle mass went down, my strength went down too. And that's just the way my body works. Now, like I said, there are some people that just have freakish strength, and you can't, there's no supplement you can take to give you that, you know. So what, I guess the answer to your question is if you want to build strength, you got to build muscle.
Mikey Diesel, Fake Dave, I need your professional opinion as I'm getting mixed answers and responses from different experienced bodybuilders and researching, finding a million different answers. And you know it's tough to really crack the subject in public without judgment. What would be your standard GH dosage to keep fat off while training to gain size with other compounds / proper diet in and off season, quote, build season 6 to 8 months?
Look, I like a little less GH than most people recommend over a longer period of time. So I would rather see you do like 3 to 4 IUs a day, you know, for, you know, every 7 days a week, you know, for 6 months, rather than do, you know, 8 or 10 or 12 IUs a day for, you know, 2 months or something like that, 5 days a week. I think your body is into regularity, and if you put it in there in a nice dose where you're not going to get excessive side effects like carpal tunnel, and you're not going to get excessively bloated on the stuff, and your joints are not going to hurt, I think you're going to make progress consistently, because that's what bodybuilding is all about. I didn't gain, you know, 100 pounds in 6 weeks. I gained 100 pounds over 5 years, but I did it consistently. I never was in huge spurts. It was in consistent gains from week to week to week, because I always made sure I ate right, I trained right, I slept and rested enough, I took the right supplements. And same thing with the drugs. The drugs, it's about regularity. You know, you take a shot of a drug, you don't feel it. It takes days or weeks to kick in. That's just the way these drugs work. Steroids are not like amphetamines or heroin. They're not an instantaneous, you know, feel-good, you know, instantaneous response type of a drug. It's more esoteric. It kind of floats around in the backdrop there. So you want to consistently apply it, okay? Just like you apply your anabolics, you're going to apply your growth hormone daily. Let it do its job. Let it help you with recovery. Let it, you know, increase, you know, new muscle tissue. Let those cells then get bigger and evolve. And before you know it, a couple years down the road, you've changed your whole physique. And that's just always been my outlook on how to be the best bodybuilder. I think that some of the best out there that have done it, from the Ronnie Colemans and the Dorian Yateses, they'll agree. It's about consistency and applying it. It's not about how much drug you take. It's about taking an effective dose and doing it every single day and applying your, I guess, your trade and all the things that you're doing on a daily basis. And don't miss workouts, don't miss meals, don't miss supplementation, don't miss your drug shots, but do it consistently. There's no catching up. Once you've screwed up for 2 weeks, that 2 weeks is gone out of your life. You're not going to make up for it by doubling up or doing anything in the future. So just try to make every day count.
You mentioned Ronnie Coleman. As soon as we are done taping this episode, you are going to have the 8-time Mr. Olympia on the show. Get his thoughts about the upcoming Olympia, and of course, his thoughts on Phil Heath potentially tying him and Lee Haney. Let's go back to the questions. Bjorn from the Netherlands. Dave, if I've trained legs, then I drink my shake with 70 grams of Vitargo, 5 grams of creatine. When I get home, I'm so tired and I have no appetite that sometimes takes more than 3 hours. I also have to sleep for an hour. Then I've eaten, then I've eaten that I'm still nauseous the rest of the evening. What am I doing wrong? So I guess his question is, after he does legs, he's losing his appetite and he feels nauseous.
Yeah, that's very common. When you train legs, it really traumatizes your nervous system. After a heavy leg training session, I would not want to eat. What I would do is, right after the workout, I would guzzle down my whey isolate, you know, with my carb shake. Literally, I would go home and I would sleep exactly what you did for an hour and a half, and then I'd get up, and usually a lot of times I didn't feel like eating. I had a force feed, and I just felt terrible the rest of the night a lot of times because my nervous system was so traumatized and shot. That's why when people tell me they train legs 2-3 times a week, I'm like, you guys are out of your mind. You're obviously not training your legs hard, because I didn't want to train them more than once a week, and that's the way you should feel. You should be like, man, I gave it everything I have. Now I have 7 days. I don't have to worry about legs, man. And that's how you grow big legs. Because, you know, if you're doing it 2-3 times a week and you don't feel that way, then you know what? You're probably putting a half-assed effort into it.
Jesse C89, Dave, when using testosterone boosting products, how long can you stay on those, or what is the recommended durations, and do you need to taper off?
It depends which one you use. You know, if you use my Testalize product, which is what I call a testosterone optimizer, because what it does is it lowers DHT, lowers estrogen, and puts them into the right balance. So it's not like eliminating them. It's keeping them in the low normal range, and it raises testosterone because you're not converting as much to testosterone. Plus, it has natural boosters in there, and the product uses all natural ingredients. You can stay on that year round. A lot of guys do. There's no reason to come off it because what you're doing is you're balancing all the levels of the hormones in your body to be the right way they should be. High testosterone, low normal estrogen, low normal DHT. And when you do that, you feel good, you grow better, you recover better. And once again, there's no reason to stop it. You know, if you want to just stop it because you like to clean out of everything, you know, you like to take some break off everything, you can take a month off a year, but you don't really need to stop it other than that. Now, if you're doing a full-blown cycle and you want to just take other stuff like Arimidex and DHT blockers like finasteride, that's fine. But a lot of guys would prefer, you know, to go the natural route with at least with DHT, because if you lower DHT too much with finasteride, you feel terrible. Some people lose their sex drive. So if you don't have hair loss issues or prostate problems, you probably, to lower your DHT, you're better off with a product like a Testalize, because it'll do it in a more subtle manner and you're not going to get any negative side effects from it. So that's my suggestion, you know, and like I said, there are other testosterone boosters that maybe don't use such natural ingredients and that work differently. And maybe they're pro-hormone based or they're somewhat pro-hormone based. Those products you probably have to taper off.
Dave DeCoke. Dave, can you give us some insight as to what you had done to your shoulder rotator cuff repair, labral repair, total joint replacement, bicep tendon and tendinitis, etc.? I'm in the industry of orthopedic medical device sales, and I'm very curious.
Okay. I back in the 90s, I had 2 years apart. I think it was 92. No, actually, it was 4 years apart. I had 92 and 96. So I did my left shoulder in 92, my right shoulder in 96. I had an arthroscopic surgery where they cleaned up. I had a regiocromial process. They kind of got rid of the impingement I had there. They shaved it down and they created more space for my bicep tendon to move and my infraspinatus tendon. I had some torn labrum. Back then they didn't fix it. They didn't suture it or pin it. They just cleaved it off. They just chopped it off, which gave me complete pain relief. When they did that surgery, I was able to train heavy, but the doctor said you'll probably have arthritis later in life. Sure enough, 5 or 6 or 7 years later, I started getting the beginning of arthritis. By 2004, when I retired, I had, my shoulders were kind of pretty bad at that point. I couldn't really externally rotate them. They were starting to get painful when I would train them. And then over the course of the next, 15 years, they got worse and worse. And I probably could have had a shoulder replacement in 2003, but I really didn't want to because I knew that they have a limited lifespan, so I put it off as long as I could. I got the left shoulder done last summer. Luckily, my rotator cuffs were completely intact. The only thing that was really messed up was the joint. It was really I had some bone loss there, and it was really, there was no cartilage left because I was bone on bone so long that even the bone got worn away. And so I got a reverse shoulder replacement on the left, and I have to get the right one done. It's hopefully maybe before the end of the year. I'll do this one because this one's starting to bother me now. They both were bad, but this one was not that bad at rest. Now it's starting to irritate me, so I might get this one done. I don't know if I'll need a regular or a reverse shoulder. It doesn't matter. This shoulder feels really good for whatever they did into it. Hopefully it lasts, for a long time. But right now that one feels good. I hope this one could feel as good as this one. And that's where I'm at with my shoulder. So I know a lot of guys who grew, who kind of came up with me in the 90s. Who've had shoulder replacements, more so than I was even aware of. But once I started talking about it, a lot of people contacted me and told me. And those guys actually were the ones who convinced me to do it. They're like, just do it. It's not that bad. It sounds worse than it is, and you're going to be so happy. And they were right in a sense. So, that's where I'm at.
Time for a couple of quick hitters here. Salix 1982. Your thoughts on Jerry Brainham's thoughts on tilapia? He says it's full of omega-6, but not too much omega-3. He says to avoid tilapia. Your thoughts?
Well, the problem with tilapia is that it's all farm-raised. I don't believe in eating farm-raised fish. The farm-raised fish they feed fish food to. They live in slovenly conditions. It's not a healthy, fish. The fatty acid sources in the fish are all skewed towards omega-6s, just like chickens that eat corn or cows that eat grain. They're not eating a natural diet of algae and other small fish. So they're just not healthy. So I try to avoid all farm-raised fish. As a matter of fact, when I go to sometimes I go to these supermarkets and I'll buy frozen stuff. Sometimes they have these frozen pre-cooked fishes and stuff like that, or if they're seasoned fishes. You can find, wild caught. You could find, non-wild caught. I buy the wild caught. The wild caught salmon. They even sell salmon burgers now. Like they're like turkey burgers. You get the salmon burgers, and you can get it. It's wild caught salmon. And that's what I just look for. Stay away from farm raised fish. They're just not good for you. You're not going to get the benefits of fish in a farm raised fish. So the reason why tilapia tastes like chicken is because they feed it the same thing that the freaking chickens eat. It doesn't taste like fish because it has lost its fatty acid content that it normally would have in the wild. Same thing with a lot of salmon. A lot of salmon is farm raised. You got to really read what you're buying because it makes a difference in your health.
Tomas Anastasi, reduce calories on rest days or keep them high for recovery?
Yeah, the biggest mistake people make, I get this question a lot, is, hey, Dave, what even from clients of mine, what should I eat on the days I'm off? I'm like, the same thing you're eating on the other days. And they're like, well, I'm not burning as many calories. Well, how many calories do you think you're burning in the gym doing a weight training session for an hour? 30, 40 grams of carbs? Your body's recovering. On the days you don't train, that's when your body is doing the most muscle rebuilding. You're probably burning more calories on those days than on the days you're actually training. So, yeah, don't worry about it. You got to eat the same thing every day. It doesn't matter. Even if you take a week off from the gym, continue to eat what you're eating. You'll grow better. Your body still has the same metabolic demands, okay? Unless you're taking a year off, or 6 months off, that's a different story. But if you're just missing a couple days at the gym, don't cut back your food. No way.
We got a message. This one I thought I would save this to the end of the episode. It's from our friend Rafi. He wants to know, what is Dave's most exciting moment, a recent moment from the past Olympias?
There
was one moment that stands out.
Yeah, the only thing that stands out in my head that came to my mind immediately, and I didn't even think about it, was when Kai Green and Phil almost had a fight on stage. If you remember, Phil bumped Kai, and then Kai elbowed him, and then Kai didn't like, Phil's response or something like that, and there was words, and then Kai got in Phil's face, and I thought there was going to be a fight. And this was the day after the press conference where they had almost, gotten into a verbal fight. Phil was, Kai was like kind of lost his mind there, and so I thought that sticks out in my mind of all the Olympias that just blurts out, because I just think it was one of the most incredible things we'd ever seen. Really never saw something like that on a stage before, and it was it was memorable in the sense, and it gave us something to talk about at least.
Of course, we had Dennis James. We recorded Iron Debate yesterday, our 2018 Olympia preview. He, of course, is going to be emceeing the press conference next week. He says that all the smack talkers that have come out of the woodwork over the last few months, he's going to hold their feet to the fire, so perhaps we may get another taste of that, what we saw in 2014. That's going to do for this episode of Ask Dave, brought to you by Species Nutrition and Liquid Sunrays. Again, follow us on Instagram, on YouTube, and Twitter for our coverage of the 2018 Olympia, and of course, our Iron Road to the Olympia, brought to you by Redcon One. For Dave Palumbo and our producer Tyler Shore, I'm Steve Faruqi. We'll see you next time.